Dear Alessandro, you put me as moderator, but I would like to ask you to give the beginning and say we start in this event.
It was a bit disturbed. Can you say again?
Okay, I said you gave me the moderation role.
Yeah.
Please let us know when we start.
Yeah, no, we can start. We can start.
Then
We are ready.
fantastic.
Registration, everything.
So first, let me apologize if we start with a few minutes delay, but I was in a conversation with the Greek Minister of the Environment and I couldn't leave. But here we are with just a few minutes of delay. I would like to welcome you all to the Mediterranean Coalition Pavilion at COP28. The Mediterranean is not an area in which the cook stoves problem is dominant. There are a few areas in which it exists, but it is above all endemic in other parts. But we're all part of one planet, and we know that what happens to our neighbors is also our problem. Our region is contiguous to the Sahel and to the rest of Africa, just to make an example. So, of course, we feel it as our problem too, and as our brother's problem. I was in an event roughly 1 week ago, the first event organized by the European Union as a day of energy in the history of climate negotiations. And speaking together with me, there was also the head of the International Energy Agency, who was asked what are the three most important unresolved problems in the field of energy. And he started stating cook stoves, because they affect directly the health of individuals who live in the real world. When you are at a COP, you tend to reason in terms of large collective dynamics, fossil fuels, financing, and in this approach, you tend to forget about the fate of individual people. This unfortunately affected a little bit the prominence of the problem of cook stoves. It looked as though it was confined to the action of civil society who deployed village by village, but could not be treated at the global level, where, thanks God, things are changing. The fact is that we are finally interiorizing all the implications of the 2030 agenda, the SDGs, which is the overarching logics under which everything is held, including the climate COP. SDGs teach us that you cannot reach a certain objective to the detriment of other objectives. That, on the contrary, if you want, for instance, to have education in a country, you could start by protecting biodiversity. Strange as it is, if you protect terrestrial biodiversity, it means that you create the conditions for fertility. But if you have fertility, you have the conditions to attain objective number 1 of the agenda, which is zero poverty. And if you don't have poverty, then you have all the health conditions and the human basic conditions to get into health. Now, cook stoves are not declined as such as a single objective of the 2030 agenda. They're just encompassed by one of the targets. But still, we need to understand their importance in this perspective. We might like to have very large goals, but then if we have a system that undermines the health of individuals in an endemic way in very vast area, you can be sure that you also have the recipe for instability in that area. Instability means the inability of a certain community to join the fight for a better world, and especially the fight for a viable climate. In this sense, all these issues, not only cook stoves, but all the issues that tend to concern individuals here and there, were once forgotten, but we are now realizing that the basis for achieving these very large objectives that we talk so much about is the underlying slogan of 2030 agenda: no one left behind. We live in a chain system, which is Mother Earth, and in every chain system, as system dynamics, the subject that was studied by our Italian Nobel Prize Giorgio Parisi, you learn that in a chain system, the first thing you have to do is to protect the weakest ring of the chain. Otherwise, everything crumbles in a sequence. It is in this spirit, although cook stoves are not central to the specific Mediterranean challenges, that we think that they're still central to us anyway. If these practices are undermining health and therefore wealth and therefore stability, and therefore the capability of our brothers down south to be an active element of positive change, their problem is our problem. And this is why we are so happy to host you here at the Mediterranean Pavilion. You've tasked me as moderator, but I will not go further than giving the floor to all the speakers, also because I must confess I'm not an expert of this specific subject, starting with my dear friend Alessandro Galimberti, who will be able to inform you a lot more than I can on this really burning issue. Alessandro, please.
Thank you, Gramenos, also for the trust. Yeah, as you said, this is exactly the fact of helping the weakest part of the world population is exactly the reason why, as UfM Foundation, we started to deal with clean cooking in 2012. So we have been dealing with this now hot topic, but unfortunately, for many years, it was a cold topic, but a very hot drama, hot emergency especially for Africa. And we started 11 years ago. And we started, and in my opinion, it's important to highlight this, we started not focusing especially in energy or especially in deforestation. We started focusing on urban poverty reduction. In fact, our intervention in clean cooking started in Islam in Mozambique, while studying and looking for solution to reduce the poverty of the slum dwellers. And we realized that a lot of money was spent by families, the most vulnerable one, even 20–25% of their income, monthly income, was spent on buying charcoal. And many diseases and intoxication that affected women and children was due by the use of charcoal for cooking. That's why we engaged on this sector that only later became a sort of one of the core business of UfM engagement for the development. But it is very important because to highlight this origin, because speak about the holistic approach and the systemic approach that we have to look at when we approach this sector. So let me just highlight some figures about UfM engagement. No? We have distributed over 350,000 stoves in Africa, and the beneficiaries are estimated in over 2 million beneficiaries all over Africa. And we estimate in a very conservative way the CO2 emission reduction in over 800,000 ton equivalent, the reduction in terms of harmful emission. But this figure do not highlight the socioeconomic benefit and socioeconomic impact of clean cooking adoption by vulnerable family. That's why we want also to stress the fact that, as Grameno said, it's before all a question of last mile. That's why we think that even today, improved cook stove, that means the stoves that still use charcoal and firewood, but significantly reduced by 50–60% the consumption, are a relevant and very effective solution for these vulnerable families that live especially in the rural African rural areas, the poorest of the poor. We are speaking about over 500 million of people that, of course, cannot access for many reasons from the point of view of infrastructure, but also from the point of view of affordability, they cannot access the proper clean cooking, electric cooking or gas cooking. So that's why, as transitional solution, the adoption of improved cook stoves should not be looked at as a second best solution, but for this family, especially the most vulnerable one, this is absolutely a first best solution. And of course, it is a transitional solution, because we all know that the final target is to support this family to adopt clean cooking, pure clean cooking solution. But for the moment, it would really be a great achievement for us to promote the universal access to improved cook stove. This would mean to reduce by 50% the deforestation, reduce by significantly, almost to zero, the risk of intoxication for children and for women, which is very, very important. Over 2 million people every year die for indoor air pollution, especially for intoxication linked to the usage of biomass for cooking. Another issue that we want I just want to touch some points here as an introduction. No, we already said about improved cook stove versus clean cooking is still relevant to promote improved cook stove. No, tier 1, tier 2 cook stove, especially locally made. Another issue, as we highlighted, is the holistic and systemic approach. I mean, we, as also Grameno said in the introduction, it's impossible to figure out the question of deforestation, but also the intoxication and the health problem linked to the usage of biomass in the house only through a technological or a monodimensional approach. The issue is the clean cooking issue, and in general the cooking issue is a systemic issue. So must be approached through a systemic methodology that look at the family, look at the community, look at the individual in all the connection, interconnection between health, poverty, culture, habit, education, gender, women empowerment, child protection. So all these aspects must be considered when designing an intervention concerning clean cooking. Another point that we want to raise is the issue of the market-driven approach versus the free distribution or the subsidized distribution. Many times, a lot of donors ask us to focus on market-driven approach in order to create a sustainable market. We should wonder which is the emergency, which is the priority. Is it the priority? If the priority is to create a sustainable market, of course, but if the priority is to reduce the deforestation or to reduce the climate change impact, maybe the free distribution can be relevant for these different purposes. But the two approaches are absolutely not alternative in our opinion. By the way, in Europe, we used to subsidize, to subsidize cars. We used to subsidize photovoltaic panels in the houses. So why not subsidizing improved cook stove or clean cooking access to the poorest of the poor in Africa? And another issue is linked to the fact that if we are looking at the first purchase, or if we are looking to the substitution market. So if we are looking to a substitution market, the free distribution or highly subsidized substitution can be considered a tool to disseminate the use and the future demand, substitution demand of the stoves. Last point that we want to highlight, just to launch a bit the discussion, is the last 2 points are, one, the LPG and the gas. This is another big issue and not too politically correct. We know very well that as European, we do not like too much that African countries invest in gas, but we have to wonder why, because at the end of the day, gas is still strategic for many European countries, and moreover, a lot of African countries design and their strategy, energy strategy, including LPG. So as a traditional source of energy could be at the end at least considered, or at least should not cancelled ideologically. We should analyze the pros and the cons, also considering that, again, for Europe right now is still a strategic energy source. Last point is concerning carbon credit. Carbon credit, it's a hot topic. A lot of criticalities have been moved, and a lot of attack on the media, social media, have been raised on this topic. As per our experience, we consider carbon credits a huge opportunity, almost a unique opportunity for millions of vulnerable people to access clean cooking within 2030. Without the fund leveraging of the carbon credit, so the voluntary carbon market, it will be almost impossible to reach with the business as usual, the universal access to clean cooking. So the way we should consider carbon credit as a tool, and as a tool like a knife. A knife, you can kill a person, or you can cut bread and share it with the community. So we really have to sit down to a table, as we are doing with the Clean Cooking Alliance and with other partners, and to design new rules for the carbon credit market, granting integrity, transparency, and realism of this intervention, with an accurate monitoring and calculation system. But we really have to preserve and to safeguard the convenience for the private sector to invest in the carbon credit, because it will be really an essential leverage for the clean cooking assets and in general for a climate change action, especially in Africa. I would say that I will stop here, so I will go back to you, Gramenos.
Thank you, Alessandro. You mentioned gas, and I think that this is an important lesson. Gas is central to what we are doing. I must say, to the fantastic advancements that we have in the Mediterranean area. We are trying to build a community, an energy community, and this is under a ministerial declaration that we achieved in 2019. And one of the stumbling blocks was gas. Of course, there were maximalist positions in our group that goes all the way up to Lithuania or Latvia. And we have countries who heavily rely on gas for their general GDP. Maximalist positions were overcome by this very simple reasoning. Okay, eliminating gas in principle is good to achieve decarbonization objectives in the short run. But if you do so abruptly, you will set in motion a chain of consequences that include unemployment, destabilization, possibly unrest. And to manage these situations, normally you should apply certain methods that are carbon incentive, including wars. So in the end, if you do things without considering the basic needs of society, what you end up doing is emitting more carbon than the one you spared with some maximalist and provisions which do not take into account the needs and aspirations of people. But this is just a comment, just to link you even more with our Mediterranean dimension. Allow me to be a Marxist for 5 seconds. Marx used to say that economy is a structure, all the rest is a superstructure. In poor words, we can have the best of intentions, but if the market doesn't follow, we don't go very far. On this, in this perspective, I give the floor to Professor Vania Vigolo, who is going to talk about a change in consumers' orientation. And demand is the real power of the market. Professor, please.
Thank you very much for your introduction. Can you see my screen? I share my presentation.
Yes.
Yes, perfectly.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So before presenting the results of the research conducted with UfM Foundation, I think it is important to lay down some premises. I am a marketing researcher, and marketing as a discipline has not only the potential, but also the moral obligation to help create solutions for societal problems and improve the world. To increase the effectiveness of projects aimed at promoting cooking behavioral change, it is important to understand what are the determinants of consumer behavior in order to promote clean cooking behavior and discourage unhealthy or unsustainable cooking practices. There are several consumer behavior models that have been developed. They are all country and culture specific. Consumer behavior is still under research in developing countries where the problem of cook stoves is still a major issue. So this set the basis for our research. The overall aim of the research was to understand the drivers and the barriers of purchase intention or of the sustained use of improved cook stoves or clean cooking solutions among households of users and non-users. 7 countries were involved in the data collection, 7 African countries. We collected both quantitative and qualitative data, about 900 questionnaires from users, 900 questionnaires from non-users, together with 27 focus groups with users and non-users. So there's a lot of data. I'm going to focus for this presentation only on non-users' behavior in 2 specific countries, Burundi and DRC. The questionnaires for the data collection were developed based on scientific research on consumer behavior, were validated by experts in the field and pre-tested before collecting the data. We used door-to-door structure interviews conducted both in suburban and in rural areas of the different countries. The sampling strategy aimed at ensuring the random selection of respondents and aimed at creating a stratified sample in order to have a representativeness of the consumers. So our final sample for these 2 specific cases include about 400 interviews, about 200 for Burundi and 200 for DRC. This is the overall model we used in this research. It combines 2 well-known models in consumer behavior studies. On the one hand, we have the technology acceptance model, which explores the effect of perceived usefulness and ease of use on attitude, on consumers' attitude. And we have the theory of planned behavior, which investigates the effect of attitude, social influences, and perceived behavioral control of purchase intentions of improved cook stoves or clean cooking solutions. Let me just briefly explain these constructs we used. Particular attitude refers to the individual's positive or negative evaluations regarding performing a particular behavior, in this case, clean cooking. Social influences refer to how our peers, for example, our friends or community members, influence our behavior. Whereas perceived behavioral control refers to consumers' perceptions of how easy or difficult performing a certain behavior can be. So perceived behavioral control reflects a person's belief about their ability to successfully carry out a certain behavior. The data were analyzed statistically with partial least squares structural equation modeling. So I'll briefly outline first the results for the total sample and then the results for the two countries. So with regard to the total sample, the findings show that usefulness and ease of use have a significant positive effect on attitude, and specifically usefulness has a stronger role than ease of use in predicting attitude. In addition, these two constructs predict purchase intentions. If perceived usefulness and ease of use is high, then we have an increase in purchase intentions. In addition, the three constructs, attitude, social influences, and perceived behavioral control, all contribute to increase purchase intention. And specifically, perceived behavioral control is the strongest predictor of purchase intentions. In Burundi, we have some slightly different results. Perceived usefulness and ease of use still significantly affect attitude, but they do not affect directly purchase intentions. In addition, differently from what we expected, attitude does not have any significant effect on purchase intentions. However, social influences and perceived behavioral control have a significant positive effect on purchase intentions. And here again, perceived behavioral control is the strongest predictor of purchase intentions. With regard to DRC, we found that usefulness and ease of use significantly affect attitude, and usefulness also directly increases purchase intentions. In addition, attitude and perceived behavioral control have a significant positive effect on purchase intentions. Here, attitude has a stronger influence on purchase intentions, whereas for Burundi, we saw that perceived behavioral control had the strongest intention. However, here, in this case, social influences do not have any effect on purchase intentions. So influence by peers is not relevant for this specific context. So we tried to derive some practical implications and concluding remarks from these preliminary results. Both for the total sample and for each country, having been targeted by an awareness campaign does not increase purchase intention. So having been targeted by these campaigns do not provide relevance for an increase in purchase intentions among consumers. So to foster the adoption of improved cook stoves or clean cooking solutions, it is crucial to emphasize the usefulness of improved cook stoves and clean cooking solutions rather than promoting, for example, other types of contents. If we are able to convince consumers about the usefulness of these cooking solutions, there is a high probability that this will have a positive impact both on attitude and on purchase intentions. In addition, it is important to help consumers develop their perceived capabilities of performing a behavior, which means supporting them in terms of skills, resources, and reducing external barriers to perform this behavior. With regard to social influences, we found mixed results. So recommendations by peers may be effective in some contexts, but not in others. Therefore, there is a need for more in-depth culture-specific variables in order to understand how consumers can gradually change their behavior. As Alessandro said, this is a long process. We believe that a holistic approach is necessary to promote change in the long run. So this is just a brief glance at the results. So we still have a lot of data to analyze, specifically also qualitative data emerged from the focus groups. So we hope that in a short time, we will be able to provide more in-depth insights into how it is possible to gradually change behavior towards more clean cooking solutions. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you, Professor. The fact is that we may have political awareness, we may have ethical awareness, we may have the market, but if we don't have the technical solutions, we don't go very far. So in this perspective, it is my pleasure to switch places with Mr. Fabio Parigi, who is CEO of Clean Cooking Technologies, and he's with me at the COP. We are sitting in front of the same computer, Community Spirit. We switch places, and I have the honor to give him the floor.
Thank you, Director. Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. How is the audio? Can you hear me? Perfect. So I would like to give you a brief introduction of what the latest updates on technologies and what the private sector is trying to do to tackle the challenge of climate change. We have witnessed positive tiers advance in recent years that follow the technological path of growth. However, recently, two things have substantially modified the boundary conditions, and are the global electrification index and the carbon credit money. For example, Kenya has transitioned past from 17 to 71% in grid connection in the last 10 years. And additionally, the carbon credit market was valued at about 90 billions in 2022 and is expected to reach 350 billions in 10 years from now, yearly. And hence, these two factors have generated a momentum of awareness. When about 10 years ago, I started to be interested in clean cooking, it was just a niche. At that time, coming from a doctorate in electrical engineering, it was natural for me to look at electricity as a possible solution to the clean cooking challenge. However, due to the electrical grid penetration, its reliability, the quality of the general energy falling on it, it was sufficient to imagine mass utilization of such source of energy to power the stoves of millions of families worldwide. Thus, we started with improvement cook stoves, deploying thousands of them in India, Ghana, and Kenya. But now, almost a decade later, electricity, technology, and carbon credit financing are here to help us to make a real change in clean cooking that families are asking for. Nowadays, every minister in Sub-Saharan Africa has a clean cooking dossier on their desk. It wasn't like that too long ago. A few days ago, Dr. Fadi Biro, the executive director of the International Energy Agency, publicly announced that in 2024, they will take the lead in solve the African challenge of clean cooking. In the same hour, here at COP28 in Dubai, GECO, Global Electrical cooking coalition was presented to put together the e-cooking ecosystem. Giggle was presented on the main stage of the COP, in front of high-level peers, on the same podium where a few days earlier, all heads of states had given their remarks. Until the last COP, it wasn't like that. Hence, we can confidently state that a new era has begun, the electric cooking era. But reputation and trust are key aspects to consider, especially as we set seeing the big shark swimming around. Therefore, we need the highest level of transparency, ethical commitment, a just approach to lead the clean cooking transition. In our quest, we should and we shall ask for support from technology, such as position like the GPS, IoT, Internet of Things, blockchain, and refer to international standards to ensure we are doing things right. To ensure a just transition, a big part of the future related to carbon credit for clean cooking must be related to tokenization and fragmentization, because this micro transaction could be the vital for families, small companies, and businesses around the world. Currently, the carbon credit cycle, at least for the voluntary carbon credit market associated with clean cooking field, takes about 12 to 18 months to convert and reach the beneficiaries, binding it to the financial bubble. Hence, we need democratize it, and with tokenization and fragmentization, it could happen almost instantaneously. This will be the last piece of the puzzle to make e-cooking and clean cooking accessible to all and convert it into day-to-day business as usual solution. This is exactly what we are trying to do at Clean Cooking Technologies. We provide solutions to families to access and finance clean cooking. We subsidize the development of e-cooking stoves, making them accessible at an affordable price for each community around the globe. To ensure a just transition, we cash back to the communities the majority of the carbon credit money that have been generated. We are headquartered in Milan, Italy, with operation in the Global South. We are landing the first batches of Kliku, our smart e-cooking stove, in 3 African countries after Christmas break, and 2 other batches in Central Asia and Latin America by the end of Q2 2024. Clean Cooking Technology is happy to be part of this movement, and we are ready to play our part in reaching the global access of clean cooking by 2030. Thank you.
Next switch. And again, we switch. Thank you so much. This was brief, but very much to the point. So we have awareness. We have a market. We need policy and applied policy. It is therefore my pleasure to give the floor to the ministry in charge in Rwanda, who is on many aspects setting a benchmark in creating the correct relationship between mankind and their very, very rich ecosystem.
Now, this is a last-minute surprise because I don't know if they succeed in sending someone, because they did not share with us because the director of the environment authority, was busy at the COP, the last-minute meeting, and he promised me to send someone, but I don't know. I'm just asking to the participant if, because I saw that someone just exit. I apparently there's no one from Rima.
Okay, it means that we have, according to the program, more time to have a discussion among ourselves. But for technical reason, Alberto, I would like to ask you or someone from your team to moderate possible Q&As, because from our end here at COP, we cannot see the stream of possible questions or interactions. In any case, the floor is open for whoever wants to ask a question, or otherwise, I suppose there is a chat available for such questions. So, Alessandro, over to you.
Yeah, we will try as a sort of surprise. Let's see if we can connect with UfM Ivory Coast, because Vincenzo should be right now in the field and to show a beneficiary, especially women from countryside in Ivory Coast. So Vincenzo, if you can hear me, you can switch on the camera and try to connect. Otherwise,
hello everyone. My colleague is switching on the camera, and so you should be able to see me in a while.
This is fantastic. You know,
we can hear you very well.
Sorry, I was speaking over you. This is fantastic. In all these events where we tackle abstract things, we always feel that we miss the substance of the problem, real people in the real world. So great idea, Alberto.
So if you can hear me, I will start the camera and show what the field is all about.
We can hear you, please.
Okay. So good morning, everyone.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So this is Vincenzo Gangone, project manager for AFSI in Ivory Coast. Welcome to the field. Welcome to the village of Lac Boka in the Poro region of Ivory Coast. We are in the northern part of the country, almost close to the border with Burkina Faso, in the department of Korogo and Sous-Prefecture de Komboro-Dougou. People here are ladies that lives in the village, and since there was this important event today, they renounced to some minutes of their work in the field to be here with us. So what we are doing now, I will leave the floor to my local colleagues in order to interact with a lady, the president, a local leader, the president of the women of the village, who has had the chance to receive her improved cook stove some months ago. So as long as you have been talking about improved cook stove, clean cooking, and all the benefits from this project, I will not really bore you about what this project is about. I will just really give the chance, leave the word to people that we never listen to. So for any technical issue, I apologize in advance. And so the way we are gonna act, I will address my colleague in French. I will do the translation. She will address the beneficiary in local language, in a Senufo language. If everything is clear, if it can work for you, I can start. We can proceed like this.
Go on, Vincenzo.
Ok. Jaurès, est-ce que ça marche? Alessandro, est-ce que vous pouvez, can you see my colleague that is filming?
Oui, on voit deux caméras.
So, ok, donc, voilà, super.
Mais on t'entend pas, on n'entend pas. Il faut, vous êtes muté, simplement.
Voilà, j'avais muté parce que je pense, I muted my microphone because I thought it was working, the camera of my colleague. Well, so I was saying, projects are made of people, especially when we have to talk with and to cope with communities. It's super important that human resources are local human resources. Me, chef de projet, project manager, I'm the most useless part of the project. I'm here with Ami Diara Ouattara. She is field coordinator of the activities for the Poro region. I'm here with my colleague Jaurès, who is filming, the responsible for the database, so the database manager, and with Fiscool, agent of sensibilization. So he's not only a distribution officer, he's not only the one in charge of distributing the ICS, but is the person one of the 15 person in charge of activating all the awareness raising sessions. So, Ami, thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. As on a dit, si tu peux commencer à entamer la conversation avec notre ami ici. Moi, je vais restituer en anglais ce que tu dis. Tu peux poser les questions en français. Fiscool, tu vas faire la traduction en s'il nous faut et juste le temps de traduire en langue. OK? En anglais. Merci beaucoup.
Merci. On souhaite savoir quel type de foyer Fatma tu as utilisé avant.
Elle dit sur les trois pieds derrière laquelle on paraît.
Okay, so as you can see, we asked what was the previous stove, the previous, let's say, technology that the lady was used to rely on before the project came in. And so she was used to cook every day on the 3-stone fire.
Mm-hmm. Et maintenant, sur quel type de foyer elle prépare?
Elle dit, pour le moment, aujourd'hui, c'est sur le foyer amélioré vers ça.
Depuis quand est-ce qu'elle utilise le foyer amélioré?
Là, le point pour moi, mon sauf moi le semaine. Elle dit, depuis elle a eu la chance d'avoir le foyer amélioré de la part d'Afsi, ça fait déjà 5 mois qu'elle ce n'est que sur ce foyer qu'elle fait ça.
Okay, so we have been working here in the last 5 months. So it has been already 5 months that the lady can rely on her improved cook stove. And so what we're going to do now is ask for the benefits that she has been like testing and living.
D'accord. Avant, avec le foyer traditionnel, combien de bois elle utilisait avec le foyer traditionnel et maintenant, combien de bois elle utilise avec le foyer amélioré?
Là, le morancel n'a pas de monnaie de l'année. Elle va le point de comment aller. Quand il dort, mora ni monnaie de l'année, ni t'as qu'à n'a qu'à dire d'autres monnaie de l'année. Elle dit par le passé avec le foyer traditionnel, elle utilisait 9 bois pour pouvoir faire sa cuisine. Mais aujourd'hui, avec le foyer amélioré, si le bois même est un peu gros, si c'est un peu gros, 2 bois à 3 au maximum, et puis sa cuisine est faite.
So one of the most important benefits for the environment and also for the health of the lady is the quantity of wood that has been reduced. So before she was forced to use every day like 9 pieces of big logs. And now it has been reduced to 3 to 5 little branches of wood that are of course easier to carry, easier to procure in the shop, in the field.
Quand on regarde sur la semaine, avant, combien de fois elle partait ramasser le bois? Et puis maintenant, avec ce foyer-là, combien de fois elle va ramasser le bois en semaine?
Elle dit par le passé, elle pourrait chercher le fagot 3 fois par semaine. Et ce qui est vraiment le plus marrant, elle ne faisait que chercher que de gros bois qui sont vraiment très fatigants à transporter pour venir. Soit elle est obligée de prendre vélo et tout est pénible. Mais avec le foyer amélioré, elle ne fait que chercher le fagot une seule fois par semaine et ça dure plus que par le passé.
Ah, ça c'est génial, ça c'est génial. Donc, so as the lady says, before with the 3-stone fire, she was forced to go 3 times and collect 3 times per week her logs. Now from 3 times, she only does it once. And this is not only in terms of time reduction, but also some expenses reduction, because here in the north of Ivory Coast, to collect the bois is not for free. It's not free of charge because they have to pay someone collecting and moving with the tricycle the bois from the field to the village. So this is a reduction in terms of dépenses, in terms of expenditure, and in time saving.
Donc avant et maintenant même, à combien de kilomètres va pour la recherche?
Là, le moras, là, moi, ça, quand j'ai Italie, ça, dit comment toi, ils ont Italie. Elle dit même pour tout commencer, parlant même des distances, il faut savoir que c'est très pénible parce que les distances sont souvent évaluées à 10 km, mais là, il faut prendre un vélo et c'est très pénible. Donc aujourd'hui, vraiment, avec le foyer amélioré, même si la distance est là, ça leur permet au moins de souffler un peu.
So it's important to underline also the distance, because the forest, let's say the perception is the forest is also en train de s'éloigner, les distances augmentent parce que the big firewood log are more difficult to find in, let's say, close to the village. So it's fundamental. They were compelled to go farther and farther to find new big pieces of log. But in order to find and collect little branches, it's even easier. So distances can be reduced due to the adoption of the improved cook stove, thanks to the reduced style, the reduced size of the fagot. And she continues to say pénible. So she's really stressing the point of the physical efforts needed to find logs.
Quand elle regarde avant et elle regarde aujourd'hui, est-ce qu'elle pense que ce foyer-là, avec ce foyer, elle économise du temps?
Moi, le téléphone, est-ce que mon calme, moi, babi, je m'en demande à Anja. Et babi, car fois, mieux, Ok, elle dit même le foyer amélioré est tellement salutaire parce que depuis le foyer arrivé, ça lui permet d'abord de pouvoir profiter d'un temps, de pouvoir économiser le temps. Pour elle, quand elle dit économiser le temps qu'elle pourrait perdre là-bas, il y a une partie de ce temps aujourd'hui qu'elle utilise pour pouvoir développer d'autres activités, comme le matin vendre des galettes, qui est possible aujourd'hui grâce au foyer amélioré.
So talking about also women empowerment, and it's important to say that if we can help them in reducing the time spent for cooking purposes or to collect logs and the wood in the field, it's also beneficial because the time that they save can be devoted to other tasks. For example, she was mentioning a little commercial activity that she could start thanks to the ICS adoption, because she has more time now to do other things, to do different things that were impossible to do before.
Est-ce que quand elle regarde avant, au niveau de la santé, est-ce que quelque chose a changé vu qu'elle utilise maintenant le foyer amélioré?
Là, le mot sur moi, je vais moi, tu m'as tiré comme un mali. À mon canal, à deux pas. À deux, il y a un mandia. Ok, elle dit concernant au niveau de la santé, elle-même peut généraliser. Parce que par le passé, qu'elle utilise les 3 pierres, ce n'est que les lampes qui lui coulaient des yeux. Et souvent, ça crée des démangeaisons au niveau truc. Et même au niveau, avec le foyer amélioré aujourd'hui, elle voit que vraiment c'est moins salissant. La fumée n'est plus là. Et c'est très bénéfique pour elle, sa santé.
So
elle ne touche plus.
Talking about health benefits, in this moment, there are several benefits that she can perceive. For example, on at eyes level, before, the smoke caused a lot of tears. For example, giving I mean, it was something annoying. Let's say, let's talk also about perception. It was annoying for her having the smoke and the tears, and now this is with the ICS. We can, through the ICS, we can reduce the quantity of smoke that is produced. So this is not only beneficial on a respiratory level, but also at eyes level, because tears are not only like annoying during the day, but also during night. So it can be that because of tears, they have really hurdles in sleeping. And so this is another thing, talking about health.
Maintenant, on a parlé avant du foyer qu'elle utilisait, maintenant le foyer qu'elle utilise. Qu'est-ce qu'elle peut dire? Qu'est-ce qu'elle ressent actuellement avec l'utilisation du foyer amélioré?
Ija kam na le mo jo ku yele men ja kam na gi mo ya adu wood la tele ke mama ma won da la kam ma jo bi jo so ma le gi mo ra pa bi ko ma mo le bi ko so elle dit comme ça. Vraiment, concernant le foyer amélioré, d'abord, mais il faut commencer à remercier AFSI vraiment pour ce grand geste pour leur village. Qu'aujourd'hui, ça permet à toutes les femmes vraiment de pouvoir avoir une amélioration au niveau de leur bien-être. Et de vraiment continuer dans cette lancée pour eux, les populations.
Okay, so well, let's say that to conclude, our friend wants really to thank like them, in this case UfC, but in general, of course, projects that are beneficial for not only for one person, not only for one environment, but for all the people living in the village, because as said, the distribution is a massive distribution touching all the ladies, let's say the majority of households in a village. And it's also thanks to the sum of single benefits that we can really achieve higher and most important, more general targets. So she really, really wants to thank ONG doing like this, foundation projects coming in villages that are a little bit forgotten, like this project, and also she keeps encouraging NGOs and institutions to bring more projects like this.
Wow, thank you. Gramenos, you to comment.
I am here. Can you hear and see us?
Yeah.
Fantastic. So, but the only thing I can say is that with this last witnessing, this event stands out as quite exceptional. You know, here at COP, we have politicians speaking, we have technicians speaking, we have advocacy leaders speaking, but it refers to human life always as a category. To have a direct experience of what this could mean, building sustainability bottom up, one person by one person, is something uncommon at the COP, and this is why I thank you very much for organizing with us this event. I will ask you to send us the taping of this event. We will put it also on our channel. But then it comes maybe to a moment of question and answers. And for that, I really need to pass back the floor to you, because from our position here at COP, we cannot see possible chat questions, and we don't know too well the people who might be asking questions, which is on the opposite, something that you do very well. So Alessandro, please hold and conclude yourself this event the way you prefer.
No, yeah, thank you very much. I don't know if someone want to ask something in the chat or simply unmuting. Yeah, sorry, my video. Yeah, I don't know if someone want to ask something. You can unmute and ask question. We will wait for 30 seconds. And otherwise we will close the event. Meanwhile, I really thank all the speakers, our host, the Union for the Mediterranean, and especially the Deputy Director, Gramenos. I really thank Professor Vania Vigolo and the University of Verona for all the effort, the research, and also for being with us. Fabio Parigi from Clean Cooking Technologies. And I also thank Forest Valley that hosted the session technically, and in which that was the incubator accelerator that supported Fabio Parigi and his company to develop its value proposition. And of course, we thank all the people from AFSI Ivory Coast, Vincenzo, all the team. It was absolutely also a miracle in terms of connection, because during our, I don't know if you made expressive, but during our meeting, the connection is not so reliable. It's very good. It was amazing to hear from the field this experience. Thank you very much for your availability, and we can close here, I think. Martina, thank you also for, and Naomi, Noemi, sorry, from Forest Valley for the technical assistant. Thank you very much, and have a nice evening or day or night. Ciao, thank you.
Thank you very much for coping with
Thank
all
you.
the problems and connection and stuff like that. Apologies
Ciao.
again.
Ciao, ciao.